Hey everyone, welcome to Audio Gear World. So today let's talk about the newly released Ozone 10 by Izotope. Was released just this week, so let's talk about it. Now before we get into it, let me say that what I'm talking about in this video refers to Ozone 10 Advanced. So Ozone Standard and Ozone Elements will not have all of the features of the advanced version. So my advice would be to check the versions comparison list on the website of Izotope. Okay, so what is Ozone? Now for those of you that don't know, so Ozone is a mastering suite. It comes with a bunch of different modules, so EQs, compressors, limiter, exciter, etc. Now you can use most of these modules independently in your plugins chain, or you can use it as one suite. Now Ozone also comes packed with artificial intelligence, and the purpose of course is to make it as easy as possible to master music with. Alright, now let's quickly mention all of the modules that come with Ozone 10, and let's start with the ones that already existed in the previous version of Ozone, starting with the vintage module. So Ozone comes with 4 different vintage modules. So we have vintage EQ, vintage compressor, vintage tape, which is tape saturation of course, and we have vintage limiter. Now the purpose of all of these vintage modules of course is to give your master a little bit of a vintage sound. Okay, moving on to the equalizer, let's say the regular equalizer, we have a dynamic EQ. There's also a dynamics module. The dynamics module, by the way, is a multi-band module. You can have up to 4 different bands, and the dynamics module is kind of like a limiter and a compressor in one module. Then we have the exciter, which is, by the way, also a multi-band module. We have the spectral shaper. Now the spectral shaper can help to tame some of the harshness in your mix. Then we have master rebalance. Now with master rebalance, we can adjust the volume of the drums, the bass, or the vocals in any audio track, and that is even if that track has been bounced out. So even then it can still single out the drums or the bass or the vocals, and then you can adjust the volume. And then we have the low end focus, and that specifically targets the low end to make some adjustments, and then you can add some punch or smoothen it out. Alright, now let's move on to the new stuff. So we have a few brand new modules, and we also have some modules that are not new but do come with some new features. Let's start with the maximizer. So the maximizer is basically the master limiter of Ozone. Maximizer in and of itself is not new, but it does come with a new feature called the magnify soft clip. Now the magnify soft clip, with that we can boost the loudness without losing the original sound quality. And we do have some options in terms of the saturation it produces. So we can choose between light, moderate, and heavy. Now with light, the saturation begins at 3 dB below the threshold. With moderate, it's 9, and with heavy, it is 30 dB below. Now moving on to the imager. Now the imager allows to increase or reduce the width of a certain frequency range. It's also a multi-band module. You can have up to 4 different bands. Now just like the maximizer, the imager in and of itself is not new, but it does come with a new feature which is called recover sides. Now sometimes you just need to reduce the width of a certain frequency range because it's just causing some issues in your mix. Now with recover sides you can reduce the width without losing the original stereo depth perception. So it tries to maintain the stereo info and it kind of converts it into mono. So of course the frequency range becomes a bit narrower, but still you should perceive the same stereo depth. So that's a very interesting new feature. Okay, next we have the stabilizer. Now the stabilizer is actually a brand new module. It is basically a dynamic EQ, or as they call it, an adaptive mastering EQ. So to use it, you would first have to select a so-called tonal balance. It will use it as a target, and accordingly it will apply some processing. And what it will try to do is it will try to automatically add some clarity, remove some unwanted harshness, and calm down some problematic resonances. Now finally we have the impact module. Now the impact module is, as they call it, a microdynamics processor. It's also a multi-band module with up to 4 different bands. Positive values will result in expansion, giving you a more open and punchy sound, and negative values will result in compression, giving you a more dense and glued sound. Okay, so those are all the individual modules, but Ozone also comes with something called the Master Assistant. Now, with the Master Assistant, we can kind of let Ozone attempt to completely master our song for us, and that of course can be very useful if, for example, you're new to mastering or very inexperienced, but you still need to master a song. You can also use it as a starting point, because of course afterwards we can still make any adjustments we like. Or, and this is something they also suggest at Izotope themselves, you can also use it as a virtual second set of ears. Because let's say that you've mastered your song manually, you can then still also unleash the Master Assistant on your song, and then in the end you can compare the result to your own master, and that way you do have a reference. Now, how does the Master Assistant work? Well, it works as follows. First, you need to activate it. Now, then you need to play your music, preferably the loudest part in your song. Now, the Master Assistant will analyze it, and within a few seconds, it will try to master your song for you. Now, this is what it looks like. As you can see to the left here, we have the so-called target library. You can see different genres we can choose from. Now, each of these targets is the result of analysis of multiple chart-topping hits, as they call it, in that specific genre. By the way, we can also create our own custom reference targets by importing an audio file from our computer. Now, the Master Assistant will automatically try to identify which target suits our song best. We can still change it afterwards. And then it will try to match the tone, the width, the microdynamics, and the loudness of your song to that target. Now, when that entire process is done, again, you can still make any adjustments you like. You can do that right from within the Master Assistant itself, but if you want to go into more detail, then you can just switch back to the modules view. Okay, so that's an overview of Ozone 10 and its interface, but now, who is this for exactly? Now, first of all, I'd say, as mentioned before, so if you're new to mastering or very inexperienced and you're not really sure how to go about doing that, but you do need to master some music, this can be a pretty good solution. Now, also for anyone who just wants a little bit of assistance, the artificial intelligence in Ozone can make it quite a bit easier and can make the process quite a bit faster. And even for anyone who's not into artificial intelligence, still this can be a very good option because it comes with a lot of tools specifically made for mastering. It's very versatile, it's very user-friendly, it comes with some good quality, and you don't have to use the artificial intelligence at all. It doesn't get in the way anywhere. You know, I mean, it's there if you want it, but if you don't, you can just simply ignore it. So all in all, I'd say that Ozone 10 is a pretty complete mastering solution. Okay, so that's basically it for now. Should you be interested in Ozone 10 and you want to support the channel, there will be an affiliate link in the description. Go check it out for yourself if you like. For now, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.